Welcome to Weekend Night Live, hosted by Samuel Jacobs Abbey, where we play music, talk shows, and interviews on Be Inspired Podcast Network. Stay tuned and keep your dial on www.beinspiredpodcast.com. Don't forget to stay connected, be inspired, be unique, and be different. To Weekend Night Live, hosted by Samuel Jacobs Abbey, where we play music, talk shows, and interviews on Be Inspired Podcast Network. Stay tuned and keep your dial on www.beinspiredpodcast.com. Don't forget to stay connected, be inspired, be unique, and be different.
For bringing us all into this year. Giving thanks also for podcast guru, Samuel Jacobs Abbey, who's connected me live into the program from Abidjan, Ivory Coast. And I'm handing over now to my bride of 35 years, Vivian, who will be coming to you from Virginia. Go ahead, Vivian.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Maybe good morning to some people, wherever you are. It's good to be together again. We want to thank God for this day. This is a new year. This is our first one this year. We want to thank God, and we want to talk about restarting, starting everything over again, getting it right. How did you fare in your relationships in 2017? How did you fare with family, with friends, with your fiancé or spouse, with a person or people you were getting to know better? And maybe some listening who found that special one. Others are still looking for that special person. There are also those who are or were in relationships but did not see as much progress as they would have liked. And there are those among us who got married. Congratulations. Now the real work starts. For those of us who have been married for a while, our relationships could always use a fresh boost in whichever category we fit, whether you're single, whether you're praying for a partner or watching for a partner, whether you are fianced or married, we can do better. And we should strive to improve on any relationship. God has brought us into a new year filled with new opportunities. Whatever our situation, we have a choice to seize the moment and look ahead, or to look back to what we missed or lost and remain stuck in the past. We could choose to do that, but the way forward is to forget and look ahead. Philippians chapter 3 verses 13 and 14 says, Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead, I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. This is a New International Version. Well, simply put, yesterday is gone. Today is here, and we do not know what tomorrow will bring. We have a choice to forget what lies behind and press on towards the purposes and plans which God has for us. In 2018, here's a comment on these verses from the Life Application Bible. We may have done things for which we are ashamed, and we live in the tension of what we have been and what we want to. Because of our hope in Jesus Christ, we can let go of past guilt and look forward to what God will help us to become. Don't dwell on your past. Instead, grow in knowledge of God by concentrating on your relationship with Christ. If you have not turned total control of your life to Christ, or if you strayed from the right path, now would be a good time to turn back to Jesus, because He holds the future, including yours. All of us need to confess our faults and wrongdoings, ask God for forgiveness, for not having walked according to His ways and His word. And then we move on to a life of faith and obedience. That's how you can look forward to a fuller and more meaningful life because of our renewed hope in Jesus Christ. Now, can you imagine a driver looking in the rear view mirror while accelerating forward? Sooner than later, the person will crash and not reach the desired destination. Yet, it is possible that some of us are brooding over what is gone. A broken relationship, or not that we had wished for, or something we didn't wish for. Even with things that we worked hard for, but which did not materialize. We cannot move forward successfully in any relationship while constantly looking back and bringing up things that happened in the past. Enough of the sadness and mourning. Yes, you can be sad and you can mourn, but we have to get on. It's a new year. It's a new day. Let's put more of our time, our thoughts, our energies into moving forward. Does it mean we should not review the past? We should review the past, but only with the intention of learning from it to guide where we want to go. A good driver does exactly that. He first checks the rearview mirror before pulling out onto the road. We should review the past to learn where we were wrong and see how we can improve. Spend some time in self-reflection. If a relationship broke up, what was our role in it? If one did not materialize, what would we have done differently? For those of us who are married, how can we strengthen our marriage? It is much better to examine and understand what went wrong and to learn from our mistakes than to focus on assigning blame. A saying goes that the downfall of a man is not the end of his life. So we need to get up from where we have been down and take fresh steps in order to move forward. And if we are already doing well in our relationship or marriage, let us confidently look forward to even better days. If a relationship or a marriage has not been doing well, what needs to improve? What do you need to do differently? Without specifically identifying what needs to be done, we will find ourselves talking generally, beating about the bush, and leaving each other frustrated, disappointed, or even angry. Here are a few ideas on areas in our life that we can always improve. How do you see your partner or spouse? And how do you see the way you carry yourself? Is your pride getting in the way? So you keep thinking your partner or spouse is not good enough? Or thinking that your spouse or partner is the problem and not you? How do you talk to people? Do you do so with respect, considering that their views are also important and worth listening to? How do you deal with conflicts? Do you work towards resolving them or avoid talking about them? Or perhaps you rather tell other people but not the one who has wronged you? If we keep on repeating behaviors that are unhelpful to the relationship, we must realize that something is wrong. We have to change. And change means breaking the pattern of behavior. So the question is, what steps will you take to help you do things differently? You have to change your vocabulary, using words that heal instead of words that hurt. Let's hear what Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29 says. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. And I read from the New King James Version. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers. So we have to make sure that corrupt things don't come out of our mouth. Let's pray that you will speak grace. You will speak things that people will love to hear. And then let's also see what Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 and 10 says. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. If two are better than one, then we need to change our behavior. We have to know that we have to work together with a trusted friend who will be honest with us, who will be honest with you and I, with your friends, with your spouse, so that they can tell you the truth. Everybody can change, and that includes you and me. We can all change. There are two key aspects of our life we all need to work on to help us improve a relationship or marriage. The first is our character. We believe, as a believer in Christ, we must aim to grow more Christ-like every day. That is what the Apostle Paul wrote to the Colossians. In Colossians chapter 2, verses 6 and 7, Paul says, as you therefore have received Christ Jesus the Lord, so walk in him, rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith as you have been taught, abounding in it with thanksgiving. He also wrote to the Christians in the city of Corinth. That is in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. And this I read from the New International Version. Are we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as by the Spirit of the Lord. Developing good character is not something we can do on our own. We can't. We need to ask God for help. And that we can find by obeying His word. Sometimes also we should look closest to us and learn from what we are saying, what they are saying about our behavior. For some of us, this person may be our spouse, who may be the only person who honestly points out flaws in our behavior. We don't like listening to people like that. We want to hear people who are praising us all the time, and they may be lying to you. We can change many things on the outside. We can change our hairstyle, we can change our dressing, we can even change how we walk. They may help. Those may help, but the most important and long-lasting change is what takes place inside us. It's the heart, the character, the real you. Secondly, in our daily walk with God, we have to get serious. Would you go to someone you did not know and ask them to give you or introduce you to their children? Would you go to someone to ask the person to allow you to befriend their child? Or would you give your close friend's phone number to someone you had never met, just for the fun of it? But that is how we behave sometimes when we ask God to give us one of His beloved children for a relationship, or to help us achieve our dreams and plans without growing spiritually through daily reading His Word and through daily reading His Word and developing a strong relationship with Him. Some of us, we want the privileges, but we don't want the responsibilities. We just want God to bless us. And that cannot work. Do you want to get into a relationship? How are you preparing yourself for it? You want to make a positive first impression on people you meet. Are you developing your interpersonal skills? We have met people who seem to have a problem with smiling when they are introduced. Are you like that? If so, you may be pushing people away from you, including the one God may be bringing close to you. Do you want to get married? Are you reading any books on marriage? To take a driver's license, to take a test, you need to read the driver's manual, the booklet from the Department of Motor Vehicles, and get the tips from those who have passed the test, those who have been ahead. Even get some friends to help teach you. So if you have to do that, why do we think that we can just get married without consulting, without reading anything, without learning? Something that is far more important and demanding, because marriage is a lifetime. You can learn to drive and decide never to drive. But you cannot get married and decide to just stay like that, not making any effort to improve. We have to learn and get to know what marriage really entails. will be like the man who bought a car, then sat in it, turned on the engine, and expected that by turning the steering wheel, the car would begin to move. You have to get yourself ready for marriage. You have to read good Christian books. You have to learn about marriage. And you have to learn from those who know you and who know they are enjoying their marriages. You can see them. You can tell when someone is enjoying their marriage versus those who are not enjoying their marriage. You can see them and you can learn from them. That is where you also need to have counseling so that you will be guided. You know, some people think that counseling, it means you have a problem. It doesn't mean you have a problem. Counseling that just guides you onto the right path. Maybe gets you to, think about things that you may not even know may happen, but guides you to know what to expect. Do you want a happy or happier marriage with your spouse? What can you improve in your relationship to draw you closer, the two of you? This forum is a good place to learn, and we would encourage you to join us every month as we seek to learn together. It's a commitment you will find very helpful. You can also learn from marriage and relationship seminars. As I said, when you are going to a marriage seminar, it doesn't mean you have a problem. Even if your marriage is going great, you can still learn something that will make it even greater when you go to a seminar. We've met people who think that such seminars are for those who have problems in their marriage, but that's not it. And even if you feel you will not learn anything new, maybe you can go and contribute to discussion so that you can help others, so that others will learn from you. True love seeks what is missing. True love restores what is lost. True love does not give up. And true love fights on. True love grows to become better all the time, and by all means, the best is yet to come. Even if you are enjoying your relationship right now, it can still be better. In our experience in marriage and relationship counseling, we have realized over the years that when God takes a person out of someone's life, He has a better plan for you. So we should learn how to let go and trust God's faithfulness. He has promised never to leave us or forsake us. He will not abandon us. He tells us in Hebrews chapter 3, verse 5. So take courage and start afresh. A dying relationship can receive new life. A boring marriage can become exciting. Happiness can take the place of sadness. Joy can overcome sorrow. Diligence can drive away laziness. A new energy can invigorate tiredness. Each partner in a relationship or marriage has a choice to do better. What will you do? Maybe you feel like giving up. You feel you have tried different things which have not worked. You feel downhearted or do not think your relationship will get better. We want to encourage you to get back up again. Yes, you can do better. Talk to a counselor, seek the honest advice of a trusted friend or elder. Perhaps for some, listening, you know what you should do. Then go ahead and practice what you know, what is right, What is the right actions and behaviors that would deepen your love? Some people say that, oh, I don't need a counselor. All that they're going to say, I know already. Well, good, hooray. If you know what the counselor will say already, can you please practice that so that your relationship will do better? So you strengthen your marriage. It's possible that some of you listening just do not know what to do or have not even met the special person. We invite you to journey with us every third Sunday of the month throughout this year as we discuss topics that we can all learn from to enrich our lives, to guide us in our choices, and help us to enjoy the relationships that we develop. Let's also read God's word that assures us in Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 11 to 13. Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 11 to 13, and I read from the New International Version. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. So whose plan would you prefer, yours or God's? Makes sense to trust ourselves, our plans, and our future into the hands of the one who knows the end from the beginning and everything in between, and that is God. The past is gone, the present is here. 2017 is gone. 2018 is here. And we can build and strengthen what we have now as we look forward to the future. God has brought us into this new year. He knows the plans and the opportunities He has purposed for every one of us. With God's help, we will succeed in achieving all those plans. First Peter chapter 3, verse 12. First Peter chapter 3, verse 12 says, for the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and His ears attentive to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. So if the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, His eyes are on you. So trust Him that He will do all to go well with us. We want to wish you a happy, blessed, and joyful year that is coming. A year is unfolding. Let's embrace it and trust our God Almighty, our all-knowing God, that He will see us through it. And yes, the best is to come. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
John, I would like to add, John, are you there?
Is John there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, let me go ahead. Yeah, let me go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I just want to add, yes. I will add from here, in addition to that, what is titled 6 Simple Steps to a New and Happy Relationship. This is not original. It's taken from a book with a similar subtitle, Finding Love Again, by Terry Albuch. And very interesting because she bases these 6 steps on a groundbreaking 25-year study of marriage, divorce, and new love, finding the right man, because she's followed a number of people from when they first met and married for the last 25 years. It's now, I think, 728, and she's looking forward to seeing what will happen by the time they're 30. And these 6 points she concluded from her study, first of all, for those who divorce, money was the number one source of conflict in their early years of marriage. So if you are in your early years of marriage, work on money quickly. You could be insulating your marriage against problems later on. And here's the recommendation she gives. Each partner should evaluate their own approach to spending and saving money and discuss with their spouse early on. There is no one-size-fits-all financial plan. The couples need to determine their own rules and adhere to them. These couples need to decide, not one person decides and tells the other person, this is what we will do. So we both come together to decide on that. The second point she made, or the second finding from this 25-year study of the couples, big surprise. Another surprise, she says, was that men crave affection. Hello, men. Men crave affection, but not necessarily sex, more than women. Okay, so on the sex part, the men are still ahead. But it says when it comes to affection, surprisingly, over 25 years, she found that men craved affection more than women. This is what she found. Men crave feeling special and being noticed by their wives. Men who report not getting enough non-sexual affection were twice as likely to ask for a divorce. But the reverse was not true for women. And it seemed because women get this kind of affirmation from more people in their lives. Whether it's their moms, their children, and their best friends. And they kind of make up for what their husbands do not give them. But there is no let up for the men, because the recommendation is every couple, married couple, needs to carve out time for regular cuddling, kissing, and hand-holding, simply saying to each other, I love you. You can't be too busy to say those 3 words to each other. The first thing over the 25-year study we found was the way couples use blame. Because when divorced couples found fault with their relationship using we statements, they were significantly more likely to find love than those who used I or you statements. You know the famous saying, when you point one finger, there are 3 pointing back at you. Those who found blame in factors such as being incompatible or too young, they experience less anxiety, insomnia, and depression than those who blamed their former partner or themselves for a breakup. This is what Vivian was sharing earlier. We need to look ahead and stop looking back. The fourth point has to do with communication. Long word, but very simple, as you will see. A trap many couples fall into is maintenance, quote unquote, rather than true communication. For example, even people courting fall into the same problem. When you call each other, what do you say? Hey. We say hey to our friends too. So it's nothing special. We need to think of how we will make our communication more interesting. And everybody can talk. Everybody can share, whether you are quiet or shy or not. Once you are in love, you can do it. Once you're getting interested in somebody, you can communicate. Here's the finding. 41% of divorced people say they would change their communication style. And here's the interesting. 91% of happily married couples say they know their partner intimately, and they were not talking about sex. In other words, they truly share many different things in their life. The recommendation on improving communication is this. Have a 10-minute rule every day. When you talk to your partner about something other than work, the relationship, the house, or the children, this is referring to those who are married. Those who are not married, you can cut out house or children. But talk to your partner about something other than work or your relationship. The key is revealing something about yourself and learning something about your spouse or partner. And then the next point is move on. Vivian covered this very well. Letting go of a past relationship or past relationships is a key to being in a happy relationship. This is true for people who are currently married as well as those seeking love. If you are annoyed by thoughts of your partner's old boyfriend or girlfriend or of a fight that happened weeks ago, you might not be interacting in a healthy, positive way. Same, the Bible says, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Settle the conflicts as quickly as possible. It's the animosity that prevents you from being fully engaged in the relationship. The recommendation is that if you can't let go of your anger, seek help. You need to talk to somebody about dealing with your anger. And then the sixth point, develop a positive attitude. Very often, when we talk with couples who are not doing well in their relationship or whether they're married or not, there's a lot of emphasis on the negative. And yet they've had very good times together. So why do we only focus on the negative? Why don't we encourage each other with what we're doing right as well? And maybe as we talk of restarting and getting things right, we will begin to put some of these things into practice. Keeping a positive attitude in the relationship and not being ready to throw in the towel, or as some people do, threatening the partner or the spouse with a breakup or divorce, as the case might be. We are in this, and we are in it together. So let's work together and enjoy it together. Thank you. John, over to you.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Man, we thank you very much. So at this moment we have a good 1 hour and 10 minutes for Q&A. So if anybody over here has any questions they would like to ask in regards to this specific topic, or even any topic, anything that you might have in regards to relationship, marriage, please do not hesitate to ask those questions. Also, if you don't want to do it on the line and you want to text me, my phone number is 781-353-8565. 781-353-8565. You could text me that question and I can ask on your behalf. You could also ask a question on behalf of a friend. So at this moment, the line is open for Q&A.
All right, John. This is Samuel from Be Inspired. I don't know if you like. I can ask some of the questions that have come to me already. If that's
Sure,
okay.
that's perfectly fine.
All right, great. So this question is actually coming from Morocco, uh, and this individual. The question is that thank you so much, Mrs. Crab, for the insight. We have had our own issues in the last couple of years. We were at the verge of possibly separating or go our individual ways. But listening to you this evening, I'm very hopeful that maybe if I show more affection, I'll be able to win my wife's heart. Uh, what are some of the things that you may recommend to us, especially those of us who feels that our marriage is going nowhere? By the way, we've been in a relationship for 9.5 years. Thank you. From Morocco.
Okay. We don't know if they have actually talked about it, if they have discussed. Sometimes the problems may be there, but we are all holding back. Nobody is actually telling the other person how we really feel. Sometimes we talk to other people, but our partner. One of the things they can do is have a have a heart-to-heart talk with each other. Actually tell each other how you feel, what you are thinking, what is happening to you, and have a listening ear also. What we need to do, what they will need to do is to talk, and when your partner is talking, listen to what the person is saying. Don't just cut in. And then when they're done, think about what they have said, and then you also talk about yours, and they too will think about it. It's very important. It's one of the things you can do. Hear each other out. Then you can talk about a way forward. Richard, do you have anything?
Yeah, how can he show affection to his wife? I think that was part of the question. So maybe you can give him tips from a woman's viewpoint.
Well, first of all, do you say nice things to her? Just saying what we suggest, say, I love you. It's very difficult for some people to say this three-letter word. When you come back from work or wherever you come from, can you hold your wife's hand, hold her, and just tell her, I love you? And when you are leaving the house, do you hold your wife or tell her nicely, I love you, I'll see you later? Or do you shout when your wife is somewhere else and say, I'm okay, I'm off? We don't even see each other. Can you talk face to face with each other? Can you hold hands? Can you sometimes pat each other on the shoulder? When your wife maybe is feeling very tired when you come home, how do you treat her? Do you hold her to say, oh, I'm back, or how are you feeling today? To hear what is coming. There are little ways you can show affection. These are some of the ways.
Very good. Very good. So, Angel, please, anytime you need to interrupt me, please let me know. So, if you have questions from your end, but I have a bunch of questions here, so please don't hesitate at all to let me know. Uh, the next question I have here is actually coming from the UK. And this question says that thank you so much for this wonderful topic. I stayed up late to listen to this before going to sleep. My question is this. Anytime I hang out with my husband, we go out for public events, particularly when he's in the midst of his old schoolmates. I always feel ignored, and so I have resolved that I will stop going to such public functions or events with him. Now, listening to you today, how am I going to restart if I opted out from attending such public events with him? Please advise. By the way, my husband is a politician here in the United Kingdom. Thank you.
Well,
Let me take this. Okay, go ahead. You go ahead. I'll come in.
go ahead.
You see, you talk about when you are with him and the old boys, so to speak. So chances and you feel ignored during that time. Chances are that they may be talking about things that you can't relate to, perhaps from their school days. You know, so this is where you, instead of simply saying I'm not going again, And it seems to me you may be accompanying your husband because it means a lot to him. You know, one of the things you could do, what I would suggest is that you talk with him, let him know how you feel, you know, how you feel left out when you are with um, his friends, you know. But also, it might well be that if you can't relate to the topics, perhaps he needs to deliberately also introduce into the discussion things that you can share. You know, if other wives are present, chances are that they may also be feeling the same. If you know, they didn't go to the same school as their husbands, and it's the husbands who have brought um, the wives together as they reunite and relive some of their school days. So think in terms of topics that would interest not only you, but perhaps the other wives that may also be there, you know, because checking out, yes, now you're going to become even more distant. You know, you're going to miss sharing on a key aspect of his life. And remember what we read about communication? It's not just talking. It includes sharing, you know, the person's life and getting to know more and more about the person so that you can relate better to them. So Vivian, you can take it from another viewpoint also.
Yeah, and he's asking how she can restart. Just restart. You said you won't go with him again, and if you have decided I'm going again with you, hey, he will be happy that you have decided to go again. You are just restarting. You are changing things over, but also let him know your reason. I hope you made him know the reasons why you decided to check out. So when you are checking in again, you let him know that I really want to do this with you because I know it's important to you. But these are the reasons why, I feel reluctant. So maybe let's try. Talk with your husband. See, how can you work this thing so that, you can also enjoy it and you won't feel left out. Let him know things that make you feel left out. Why you didn't want to go anymore. But hey, I want to do it with you. So what can we do together? Talk about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Then let me now go to Liberia, since we are going across the Atlantic Ocean. In Liberia, a question here is that good evening, Sammy and your team. It's already past midnight here, but I wanted to ask this question quickly before I go to sleep. My question to your resource guest is that my fiancée and I, we've been dating for the last 2.5 years. We have the intention of getting married sometime this year. Now, listening to your resource guest, she talked passionately about going beyond and above to express our affection and our love to our spouses. My problem here is that I am a devout Christian. My fiancé, or to my wife to be, is a Muslim. We want to defy public order that a Muslim cannot marry to a Christian. We love each other so much and we desire for each other. Now, how are we to be successful in our quest for marriage? Any advice from your professional perspective? Thank you.
Richard, do you have anything saying?
Well, the first thing is you identify that you do have two very different bases of faith, and the import of your question might be that people doubt that you can live together harmoniously, enjoyably as husband and wife. They have their reasons, because two people of different faiths may clash at some point or other. Before you go ahead with marriage, yes, if you, as you say, you are a devout Christian, you need to examine Why am I marrying this person? Is it just because I love the person? What are the qualities I see in this person? You and then you see, it's not only looking at that side. You also need to consider what are the pitfalls, what are the challenges we're likely to face. For example, you're going to have children. Will your children be Christian or Muslim? There's nothing like a hybrid. You know, um, that's how will the children be brought up? What faith will they adhere to? That's a reality. You also need to prepare yourselves for the social side because it seems to me that you, as you said, you want to defy, what people think. How are you preparing yourself for that? This is not going to be easy. You know, one could simply say, don't go ahead. But no, that's not the answer. You need to dispassionately, yes, you are passionately in love, but this is where you dispassionately consider the potential problems ahead, not only for you, but also for your fiancé before you get into marriage, because by then it will be too late, you know. So these are things I'll say you consider very carefully before you take that step and say, okay, we're going to get married.
Thank you very much. Now let's go to Ghana. And this is from Mami Okuya. Mami Okuya said, "God bless you, Mr. and Mrs. Crab. Wow, Mr. Crab, you are all the way in Cote d'Ivoire, and you are broadcasting through the US. Amazing. Anyway, my question to you is that we have been staying with our in-law for a period of time now. It's been almost 5 years since we started staying with our in-law. She's a great woman, and she has supported us dearly. My husband and I are thinking that in order for us to have a beautiful relationship, it's best if we stay alone without necessarily having my in-law under our roof. The last time I listened to your show on in-laws and not outlaws, and so I have a different perspective. But for the sake of restarting our marriage, do you think it will be recommended to let my in-law leave since he's been with us for the last 5 years? God bless you.
It all depends on the situation.
Mhm.
Why is she living with you? Does she need help? That she cannot be on her own? What is the reason for her coming to live with you? Does she have a place of her own? Then she can live on her own. Look at the reasons you have to. We don't know the reasons why she is with you. But if it's just, she just came to visit and stayed, you can also find a nice way to let her go for a while. It's always better to be on your own without living with in-laws. But as we said the last time, if they need to be helped, then there are times that you have to live with them. But if you look at it, both of you and your husband, and you feel that she can be on her own, she doesn't have to live with you, then by all means, you can let her go.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. The other question I have actually is also here in the United States, actually coming from Ohio, and the question is that I'm always excited every third month, every third Sunday of the month to jump onto this marriage series. It's just beautiful. I've been blessed so far ever since I got connected to be inspired about this program. God bless you, Mr. Crab. God bless you, Mrs. Crab, for amazing topics. I have a concern and I want to express through your medium. My concern is that my wife and I, we've been married for the last 24 years and we are best of friends. But lately, though, my wife, she's becoming a little obese, and I have talked to her to manage her weight. I have done everything to help her. I've taken her to the gym many times, and nothing seems to be working. I have purchased all the watch weight programs, and she seems not to be interested in any of those. And yet she keep telling me everybody will die anyway. Do you think that in resetting our marriage, this should be an issue that she needs to take seriously? Will it in some way somehow affect our future in marriage? Thank you so much.
You want to take it?
Richard, you have
Okay,
something to say?
yes, let me. You know, it's I listened carefully to Sam read the question, and I think we may have some clues as to why this gentleman's wife is not responding positively. You know, when people talk and they say, "I have talked to her," talk to her is different from discussing. You see, talk to her, you've told her she's looking obese, you've told her, yes, you need to go to the gym. It sounds like you're instructing her, maybe even encouraging her, but it still comes across like you are the teacher telling her how she should look like. And there may be inbuilt resentment, which is coming out as indifference to all the different efforts you are making, gym or whatever, as you said, different weight loss programs. But perhaps what you need to do is to have a discussion. Now, here is the difference between talking to someone and a discussion. When you talk to someone, you're usually telling them what's on your mind. And sometimes involved in telling people what's on our mind is that we tell them what we believe is good for them. That may not be in sync with what they may be thinking for themselves. Like you said, your wife said, everybody will die one day anyway. It looks like, well, why should I bother? That's how it even sounds. But then when we discuss, we also listen to the other person and find out what they think they should do, or even if they even think that there is an issue. Maybe she doesn't think she's obese. But do you think so? So the question then would be to find out from her why she doesn't think it's a problem. It's not simply that everybody will die, but then you also need to talk about the possible consequences of somebody being obese, you see. And please, 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 I'm speaking as a man and, to another man. We men need to be careful because sometimes we come across almost like school principals instructing our wives as to how they should behave or what they should do, even though we might feel it's for their own good and it will make for harmony in the marriage. It doesn't work out that way. So obviously we may not be doing something right when they don't respond positively to the things we say. It may also help when we listen from their viewpoint. Why does she not want to go to the gym? What else could she do? Is she aware of potential health issues along the way? You didn't say, the one who asked the question. But there seems to be a veiled insinuation that we've been married 24 years, but lately, and we've been happily married, you said. Now my wife is becoming a little obese. In other words, you're not very happy about it. Maybe you should include it in what you're saying. Not simply that you're not happy about it, but let her know how you've enjoyed seeing her as she was. And then ask how you can help. It seems like You are getting the things for her to do rather than helping her, working with her from her viewpoint, you see. And maybe that's why there's the resistance, you know, and things aren't shaping up the way you would want. So let her know, you know, honey, I really, really, I mean, I keep thinking of how you were 6 months ago, 9 months ago, and I'm worried. What are you worried about? Let her know. Health issues, you want to still enjoy the person you knew. So let's talk about these things because this is the real communication. Speak from your heart to her heart because the cerebral, brain to brain, is not working. And remember, you want her heart and yes, her brain too. Let's do both. And I hope I'm speaking to other men as well. Anything from the lady side?
And also, maybe your concern should be more on the health part, not just because she's getting bigger, or, talk with her and let her know that, yes, everybody will die anyway, but some die too young, some die much earlier than they should. If we could work on our health, by the way, if you are telling her to watch her weight and do it, what are you doing about yourself? Is it that you think you are fine and you are not doing anything? If you introduce her to the gym, that means that she should go to the gym. How about you? So why not do it together? Maybe if you suggest that to her that we're doing it together, we all want to be healthy, and to live long. We are enjoying our marriage. We want to live long. We don't want this to be cut short somewhere. I am concerned. I just want us to do the right thing so that, it's not just talking to her and telling her what to do, but doing it with her. That will also help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this is also coming from Eastern Europe, from Ukraine, and particularly from Kiev. And folks listening, there's a reason why I don't mention the names. We came to an agreement that the names should be omitted just for the privacy of people. That's why we don't mention the names. So we talked about the cities and the countries. Because I know few of you have just texted me why didn't you mention my name when you read my question? So that's the reason. This is from Ukraine, from Kiev, and the question here is that well, my wife and I have been separated for 2 years now. We are married for 10 years, but listening to you, I'm now getting the intention that I should go back and talk over our situation again, and who knows, we will come back again. I asked for the separation because she was getting on my nerve and I couldn't comprehend. And so for the last 2 years, we've been separated. We are not divorced though, but we are separated. We talk to each other once in a while. But now listening to you, I'm getting encouraged. Do you think it's a rightful move to approach her and let go of my emotions and we can restart? Thank you.
You have answered the question yourself. You have said it all. That let go of your emotions. By any means, sure. It's good to start all over again. You ask for the separation. You can also go back and talk about coming together again. And you even said that you're not actually divorced, so it might be easier to work out. You are just separated. But it's important to think about the whole thing, not just going back and say we are coming back, but sit down and talk and get it all out there. Everybody talk. Maybe you thought that she was getting on your nerves. You don't know. Maybe you were also getting on her nerves. So when you said let's separate, hey, you can go your way. But if you come back and talk about it, Tell her all that you feel and why you did that, and let her also talk, discuss, and then you can look at the way forward. Yes, it's a good time to restart. You can always go back.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Uh, John, don't forget to prompt me if you have questions from your end. I have a bunch of them, so
Yeah.
please, go-
Yeah, I have one here.
please go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. This one was sent. It was sent on Facebook, so I'm gonna read. I'm also not gonna say any names, but it says that uh, I'm in a relationship right now. Just started recently. I prayed to God for many years, and He did, but I'm just confused how He came in. He says He came in the middle of my studies. I've always wanted to finish my studies before I meet this man, and I know that He's God sent because I could see His actions, but I don't know how to make time for Him in the midst of my education. What are some advice can you give in balancing my studies and this relationship?
Okay.
I'm not sure why you're worried. You're worried that you can't balance your studies and this wonderful person God has brought into your life. But maybe you are so excited, you're taking loads of time off your work. Both of you, and I'm not sure if John, was it a female? So I can address it more appropriate, but it doesn't matter. Both,
Yes, it was
both
female.
of you was a female. Okay, both of you need to understand that you are in school, and so you do need to give time to your studies. In fact, you can factor it into the development of your relationship because if you do well in school, yes, it augurs for a better future for you, financially, so to speak. You know, so part of the love relationship is being considerate. If he's the one who is demanding more of your time, then talk with him about that. If you are the one who want to spend more time and therefore your studies are beginning to suffer, then you need to pace yourself and talk with him. Even ask for ideas from him how you can do that. You may, especially because school times are so structured, you can structure the times that you talk as well. You know, draw up a schedule when you will do your assignments, when you have to do readings, and then when you also talk, so that at least, yes, in the early stages of your relationship, you want to make sure or you want to hear his voice, he wants to hear your voice, see your face, FaceTime or Facebook Live, whatever you're using. So build that into your routine. This is very, very important. You don't want to look back and say, I could have done better if it were not for this. And, we can detect that from what you said, that you wanted to finish your studies before, getting into a love relationship. But God has his plans. And this might be a way of helping you, perhaps not you individual alone, but the two of you to be able to develop some discipline, as to how you can structure your life even going forward. Vivian.
I think you said it all.
Okay.
All right, great. So I have other questions here, and let me see where. All right, so this is coming on the Twitter, and it's coming from. Oh, it's actually coming from Sierra Leone, and it says that good evening, my friend and I, we were planning to get married. Well, we've been doing everything to live a godly and holy life. Uh, Unfortunately for us, we ended up having a premarital sex, and so I told my friend that since we have sinned against God, I don't think it will be proper for us to continue the relationship. So we have separated from that relationship. We've been separated in the last 6 months. Do you think that it is a rightful decision that I made? Or should I go back to my lady friend and for us to work things out and, if possibly, get married. Your opinion will be much appreciated. Thank you.
You can always work things out. And do you love this person? See, sometimes these things happen. First of all, if you are two devoted Christians, then that shouldn't even come in at all. You know, agreeing to marry is not marriage. And just because you love each other, you are not married. So sex shouldn't come in at all. But it's up to the two of you to help each other that you don't get into that temptation. But now that you've gotten into the temptation, that does not mean that, you should part. If you have realized that you did something wrong, then it's for you to make things right. And just saying that because of that, you should part. It may also happen, sometimes something happens to some people. They have sex and then they have resentment for the other person. In that case, there really was no love to start with. So you have to think about it. Is it that now you resent the person because you had sex? Then think about it. But if you still think you love, then just saying that because you have sinned, you shouldn't go ahead. It's up to you to pray for God's guidance and see what you can do so you don't get into that temptation again until you get married. So you can work it out. It's up to you. Whatever you are thinking, if you are feeling that you should go back and restart talk with her and, think of how you can move forward. But if it's because you had that sex, you have some resentment, then it wasn't love to begin with. So you can just get out of it. Rich?
Well, that's fine. That's good. That's good.
All right, so now let's go to Mumbai in India, and this is thank you so much for your show. I'm a Ghanaian living here in Mumbai on the diplomatic mission. My question is that simple. So I want if Mr. and Mrs. Crab will share their personal experiences with us, because resetting means that certain things must be compromised, meaning that you must learn to forgive, you must learn to appreciate each other, you must learn to deal with situations that need to be dealt with. Most of us, we are unable to open up and talk freely about what is distracting us and affecting our relationship. My core question is that does Mr. and Mrs. Crab have personal issues, and if they do, how have they been handling it to the point that they have become so much experts on this topic that when you listen to them, you feel like they are angels? Thank you.
The key word is talking with each other, bringing everything out and finding out what is going on. If your partner is not happy, you can see it. You can tell. So find out. And, the talking doesn't come easy. In most of the cases, one partner does well with talking and the other may not do well with talking. But the one who does well with talking, it's up to that person to try and work out the relationship and get the other partner to talk more. We want us to share personal stories about ourselves. Richard is the one who loves to talk. I didn't like to talk at first. I always kept everything inside. But you can see he did a good job that now I can even do public speaking, talk to people, and feel fine. So whoever is a talker should work on the other one who doesn't like talking. You cannot have a relationship when you don't share, when you don't bring things out. When your partner doesn't know how you are feeling, it's not going to work out. So, and the only way it can work out is for you to talk. And for the one who doesn't like talking, who likes to keep things inside, to know that you have to bring it out. We are not Jesus. Your partner is not Jesus to know your mind and know what is happening to you unless you speak out. So you have to work on each other and talk, not just asking the person, what are you thinking? Say something, say something. That's not how you do it. You say, honey, I can see you are not happy. I think there's something eating you up. Can you tell me? I want to know. I want to help. I want things. I want to be happy too. If you are not happy, I'm not happy. So I want to know. That's something you can do. Richard?
Yes, great question. You see, one of the things that has helped us in our marriage, two things really that stand out for me. First of all, is that we have developed our friendship all through the years, 35 years. We can say we were best friends, or I won't say best friends, close friends before we got married, and we have developed into best friends because we have kept up the relationship. We still seek each other out. We still share jokes. We still share our concerns. Every aspect of our life we share. We talk about our work. You know, Vivian is in a different profession. You know, she's into clothes. I'm into communication. But yeah, I can talk with her about that and listen to what she says. It's a window into my world for her. Yes, I also have learned quite a lot about clothes. You know, it's a window into her world. I can share into her world. The more we can share about ourselves and our lives, the closer we can get to each other. Now, here is what we have found out over the years. You see, for every one of us who has a best friend, a very, very close friend for that matter, when something isn't right between the two of you, how long do you wait before you settle it? Anytime we ask this question, most of the answers are not long. So you can see why when a couple has problems or a problem or some issue and for 3 days they're not talking to each other, clearly they're not friends. And we need to build that friendship, even and especially within marriage. Otherwise, we will end up running a business. We marry, this one cooks, this one cleans, this one pays this one pays that, this one has the children, this one takes the children to school. It becomes like a business transaction every day. There's no fun in it. There's no joy. You know, laughter becomes less and less. Everything revolves about children and other people. But we married each other. This is what we have developed all through the years by God's grace. As much as we can do together, we do. It doesn't mean we go everywhere together or do everything together. But as much as we can do together, we do. Because our lives, we realize our lives can become so busy, so busy that we do not have time for each other. And that's the other thing. Make time for your relationship. Make time for it, and put some fun into it. Do fun things. What brought you together? If somebody even introduced you together, something kept, lit a spark, and you decided to go on to get married. So how are you going to now fan that spark into a flame? Think in terms of that. Discuss it. Get ideas from each other and put them into practice, And especially the fun part, learn how to laugh together. When you do so, you will also realize not long that you'll be able to cry together as well. And nothing ever becomes one person's problem. What affects one person affects the other. These are some of the things that have kept us close and drawn us closer and closer over the years. Perhaps I should also add, not perhaps, But this is another key aspect. For those of you listening who pray, we will encourage us, and even if you don't, we will encourage as much as possible that spouses pray together, pray for each other and with each other. Share one topic every day with your wife, with your husband. Can you pray for me on this issue today? Can you pray for it right there before you part? Or if you do it at night, fine. But share one thing every day. You see, if I'm going for an interview and I share that with Vivian and she prays for me, guess who I would want to talk to once the interview is over? Most likely the one who prayed with me, because that has also drawn us close. So that's what we'll encourage you to do. And this prayer time we have, it is not 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's as long as it takes you to pray for whatever your spouse or your partner, for that matter, if you're in a love relationship, have shared. Just share that, and each of you prays audibly. It is wonderful to hear someone you love praying for you, going to God on your behalf, asking for good things on your behalf. These have drawn us close to each other. In the same way, we have been able to share the difficult times, the difficult issues also with each other. And yes, we've been able to take them also to God in prayer on behalf of each other. So we'll encourage you also, to do that. Lots of benefits in it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very much. Let me see where next. Okay, well, let's stay in the U.S. for 1 second. Then we can go to other countries. So here in the U.S., the question coming, and the question says, actually from Massachusetts, and the question says that amazing speech, amazing interaction. I am so blessed that I've had the opportunity of listening to this show tonight. I've learned a lot of things. My question to Mr. and Mrs. Crab is that, now, do you think that couples who have separated from their relationship and have remarried other people, do you think there is a possibility that the old love can rekindle again for them to come together? I know this conversation will mean nothing to you, but it's a feeling that I'm having. I'm divorced 2 years ago. I have remarried. My spouse have not remarried yet, but every time we meet somewhere or we cross paths, I feel like I still need her back in my life. How am I going to reset my marriage if I keep having these thoughts in my mind? Please help me.
You will have to make up your mind. The thing is that if you were not married and she is still not married, it's another case altogether. You are now married, so now you're going to break another marriage and go back to your wife. Please think about it very well. Nobody forced you. You decided to get out of that marriage and get into another one because maybe you thought you saw something better in this other woman. That is why you decided to go ahead. Please work on this one. It's up to you to work on it now. Saying that, you want to go back to your first wife is saying that you want to divorce this one too. That is another trouble altogether. So please, you made your own tea. You have to drink it now. Work this one and get it going so that you don't cause another problem for someone else too. This woman was at somewhere and you decided that she is better than your first one. Now you are thinking the first one is better. Please think about it very well. Don't break another marriage to go back. Richard, do you have anything?
Well, the point to emphasize is, why is he beginning to look back on the very one that he broke? Is it that the person you're married to now, isn't doing something you were expecting? And why is that so? Vivian has said it. You need to work on it. And in any case, whatever caused the two of you to break up, as in with your first marriage, I mean, you didn't resolve it. So going back, what guarantee do you even have that things will be better? And even more seriously, you broke one marriage, you've gone into another, you're going to break that one also. And who knows that you may go back to your first wife and then begin to realize that she doesn't have some of the qualities I found in the second one. Don't make yourself a mess. As we said at the top of this program, sit down and have some self-reflection. Why do I want to go back? What is missing in this second marriage? And how can I get it back in? How can I get that into the marriage rather than going to look for it from the very person you left in the first place? You may find yourself creating more problems for yourself and the two women involved. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you very much. John, please prompt me again in case somebody have reached out to you. But
No problem.
okay, good. So the other question I have here is actually coming from Ghana, and so the question here says that, wow, today is something else. We are learning like nobody else business. Quick question though. How is it possible that men always think that the fault of marriage comes from the woman? Because I've listened to all the questions asked, and the impression is formed that it's always the woman's problem. But the last program that I listened to, Reverend Crab had mentioned that we share in marriage and we share in relationship. You don't give, you share. So why is it that all the questions being asked, an impression is created that it is the woman who always creates a problem in relationship, and if there is a need to reset, it have to come from the woman's end? Maybe there's something I'm missing. Mrs. Crab, if you can help clarify that for me. Thank you.
I don't think anything has come up like that. That is always a woman's fault. It's even. The problem can come from either side. And I think a lot of men have asked questions and sort of somehow put the blame on themselves. This last question was from a man. He was not blaming his wife. If he were blaming the wife, he wouldn't have been thinking of going back to her. So it's not like nobody says it's always the fault of one person. It's neither always the fault of the husband nor the fault of the wife. It comes from both ways. It takes two to tango. So both of us can be at fault. If we look at it that way, we can resolve it.
Great. That's a quick one, and so that's good. So now let me go to where else can we go? Oh wow, I have one from France. Usually we don't get people from France, so we have one from France, and this person says that, thank you so much. So I am revising my notes from one of your many topics, and in my notes I'm looking here, and it says that, I recall, and I quote, Mr. Crab once said that the very things that attracted us can create problems for us, unquote. And this was one of the topics you treated on your show. My question to you is that, is it possible that you can be in relationship with somebody for nearly 50 years and do not necessarily understand how the person reacts? I'm asking this question because once in a while, my husband reacts in such a way that an impression is formed in my mind that I don't know him well. even though we are married almost 15 years. Thank you.
All right. Yes, you got the quote right. Because the things that are attractive can also become frustration. And for those who missed that program, we give examples like, somebody who is shy can easily get attracted to an outgoing person, you know, and that can become a frustration later on when the shy person wants to keep away from people and the outgoing person wants to be with people. Okay, so that's just quick one. But 15 years married. Okay, let me muddy the waters for you. Vivian and I have been married 35 years, and sometimes we surprise each other by how we react or we respond to something that happens. The simple truth is that we change. All of us change over time. There are certain things that may not change, but all of us change over time. And also, the situation, the context in which things happen can also change. I may behave a certain way because we were in London. I may, similar thing happens in the US, I may behave differently, you know. So what do we do about that? Again, we go back to we need to keep asking the question. Why did you, I was surprised by the way you reacted to the statements I made. Was it something I said wrong? I was expecting you to do this or that, as you normally do. You know, in that phrasing, you have made in this case, your husband aware that this is how you were expecting him to respond. But he surprised you by responding differently. You know, in that statement, you have made it so that you expect a certain response, and it didn't come that way. So it's not so much like you don't know him. Yes, you know him in a certain way, but yeah, he's changing or he has changed, and that is why we need to continue the communication lines, keep them open, because you may find out something you didn't know. You know, usually it's the negative that we deal with in our work. You know, but it could be let's say if it was a negative reaction, it would be under pressure from work, from family, from some whatever. You know, but it could also be a reaction that was positive. You were not expecting it. Maybe he has heard you after all these years. And so you expected him not to do something, but he has rather done it. Hey, instead of being confused, just just find out what has brought about the change in behavior, you know. And this is not an attack. Let's not make this an attack. Why are you doing this? You shouldn't do no. I'm just trying to understand. The way we approach each other can make all the difference in learning. And when we ask the question, let us keep quiet and listen. You know, not only to the women, but we the men also. You know, because we may ask our wives, and when they're talking, we come in and we're also talking. It's not going to help the situation. We listen and we learn from each other. Vivian, you want to add something to that?
I think you said it all.
Okay.
We can go to the next question.
Okay.
All right, thank you
John,
very much.
anything from the US?
Well, first of all, I want to appeal to those on the phone line. Please, if you can mute your background, your TVs and your children's voices are interrupting our conversation. If you can mute if you are not speaking, that would be much helpful. Thank you so much. John, you have any question from your end? Okay, so I have other questions here. So this question is actually coming from Centerville, in Virginia. And the question is that, well, Mr. and Mrs. Crab, my question to you is that I know you have mentioned that you've been married for many years, so probably you have a lot of this experience. My question is that, is it normal that men will always have to beg for sex in marriage? My wife and I have been married for many years, but it looks like anytime we want to have sex, it's me who have to be begging and be begging and be begging. But she enjoys it too. Any thoughts from your end?
I don't know what you mean by she enjoys it. How do you know she enjoys it too? And if she enjoys it, why is she begging? You have to think about why do you have to beg? Is it that maybe you are not being romantic enough? Or is it that she doesn't enjoy it and hence enjoying it? You have to talk about it. Ask questions. Find out from her why she doesn't actually, just want it and you have to beg and beg. It is not normal that you should keep begging for sex from your wife. That's one I'll say it is not normal. But why is it so? That's what you have to find out. And ask her why it happened. Why is she not interested? If you have to beg and there is something going wrong somewhere, find out from her and you can work that out.
And if you need to talk a little more about that offline, maybe Sammy, you can connect us so that we can work with both of them. Because, like Vivian said, there is much more to it than simply, having to beg. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Uh, Once again, I want to please plead with those who on the phone line. If you can mute the back, we are having very bad feedback from your TVs. John, I think you can press star something to mute the entire line from those people, but maybe we can look at that in future. The question here is actually, we have let's remain in Ghana. So this is from Ghana. And from Kumasi says, thank you so much. I have not regretted at all staying up late to listen to your show. Very informative. My question to Mr. and Mrs. Crab is that, are you planning to have a section on temperaments? Because most of us, we got ourselves into marriage without necessarily knowing the temperaments of our spouses. I am a clear-cut example. It turns out to be that I am a melancholic, and my husband is a sanguine. We have fought many fights until we got into a counseling session, and somebody helped us to understand our temperaments. I am sure that this will help other people as well. What do you think?
Well, as we say, stay tuned. The calendar for the year we're drawing up, so we're taking note of this, and I'm quite certain something we can cover in the course of the year. But John, if you're on the line, John, can you please mute everyone else, because there are people in the background who are disturbing a lot. It looks like they're using a phone line. So,
enter the code. It'll be hard for me to mute everybody. Or did I use enter?
Okay. All right. Because obviously the people are not listening. They would have heard that we've made this appeal 3 times, and they've just put it on speaker and not listening. So sorry
Maybe
to others on the line.
everybody, and they should text their questions to you.
Please, we are pleading with each and every one of you. If you're using a phone line, just mute your phone. Just put your phone on mute. You can still hear us. There's a lot of noise in some people's areas. We're pleading with you, please.
Thank you.
We have the opportunity to take about 2 or 3 more questions. Then we're probably going to bring our session to an end. So let's keep on with the questions because I'm also here monitoring any questions that come our way. So if there's any questions on your end, please bring them up.
All right.
Or maybe people on the line want to ask directly.
Yes, they could do that too.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Since we are almost wrapping up, I will ask I have last. I will select 2 of the questions to ask, and then we can call it a quit from my end. This is from Australia, and of course, it's one of our regular friends from Australia. And his question is God bless you so much for this insight. The last time we were on your show, we talked about our working relationship where my wife is practicing attorney and I'm a practicing physician, and we never had time for ourselves, and it created a lot of confusion. Through your show, we got some tidbit, and now we've talked about it. We've worked our relationship, and I am very excited to let Mr. Crab knows that all the tidbit that he gave has actually made a magic in my home, and now we are enjoying our marriage more. My question for this particular program is that having worked our relationship, how do we sustain our relationship so that we will enjoy it to the latter? A lot of people think that when you are in love, you don't get annoyed or you don't fight. I think it is normal for people to fight in marriage. But what will be your advice when fights come? How do we handle it? Thank you.
Well, first of all, go ahead, Vivian.
No, you go ahead.
Well, first of all, congratulations on getting it right. This is what this whole program is about. You restarted and you got it right. So congratulations. Now you have to keep the fire burning. So let me add one more tip. Continue courting each other. Continue courting each other. Keep that fire burning. And then talking about, one person gets annoyed, conflicts will come, yes, simply because we're different. And I think we can have one of our programs discussing conflicts sometime to come. But simply put, aim to deal with these misunderstandings, conflicts, annoyances, whatever you call them, deal with them as quickly as possible. Like we said, best friends don't let anything that is negative keep long between them. They try to clear the air as quickly as possible so they can resume the closeness of relationship. They don't let anything or anyone get in the way. So as quickly as you can, deal with it. Don't let it hang. One day is enough. For us, 24 hours. That's what Vivian and I do. Within 24 hours, we aim to deal with whatever it is that is bugging us. Sometimes it's even just to say, there is this thing on my mind, but let's talk about it later. Then we know something isn't right, and we prepare ourselves to be able to deal with it. We don't dodge, dealing with it. Anything from you, ma'am?
Well, you said it. It is normal for 2 human beings living together to, get upset with each other. You said people think it's not normal to get angry. I mean, Richard says he doesn't get angry, he gets upset. Let's take it that way. It's normal for you to get upset. But it's also good for you to talk about it. Whatever made you upset, that is the issue you address. Why and how upset, so that you don't do that again. You work on how you can do better so that the situation doesn't happen anymore. They will keep coming. We are human beings, and sometimes we surprise ourselves. Something you take lightly today, tomorrow it can make you angry. So it's normal. You can do that, but keep talking. Keep talking. Don't. The Bible says, "Don't let the sun go down on your anger." That means keep short accounts. Don't let it go for too long. That is when the devil starts suggesting things to you. So keep talking about it. That's what you do.
Very good. So the last question from my end, it's actually coming from Woodbridge in Virginia, and the question is that thank you so much for your insight. Um, Please, how do you encourage or how do you advise young couples to separate their marital lives from church activities? I am asking this question because it turns out that most young people, including myself, spend too much of our time in church and spend less of our time together, our spouses. My marriage almost collapsed until I came to the point where I decided to stay away from church business and only go to serve God when prudent. Any advice that you can give to young couples, especially those who believe that the Spirit of God is upon them and they want to serve in the house of God? Thank you.
Let me take this one. I've been there, and it was one of my wake up calls in my life when I realized that in my interest and zeal to serve God, I was drifting away from my wife and my children. I was busy preaching and teaching in church, and I had no time to pray with my own children or read them a Bible story. And it took one of my children one day to tell me, I don't know how to read Bible stories, to wake me up. We may think we're doing God's work, but we forget that for someone to serve in God's house, God makes managing one's own home one of the qualifications of leadership in the church. So if our homes suffer, we have no business doing work in God's house. Our first ministry, and some pastors may not like this, but they do know it is true. Our first ministry is to our family, to my husband, to my wife. That is our Jerusalem before we go anywhere else. If my wife is unhappy with me, how is she going to sit in the same church to worship with me? If her husband is unhappy with her and she's out there leading, singing praises, or leading prayer or teaching, where is the support going to come from? Let's not forget that the home is the primary unit of all of society, including the church. Let's not make that mistake. Some are guilted into feeling that if they don't do as much in church, God's blessing is not going to be on them. That is a lie. Our responsibility is to our spouses and the family God gives us. I would say even before the church. And for those who will take issue with that, working for the church is not the same as a relationship with Jesus Christ. Yes, my relationship with Jesus Christ is not negotiable. That is number one in my life. After that, my family comes before church. I had to learn it the hard way. Church is not equal to Jesus Christ. Working in the church is not the same. No. And for us who are leaders in churches, let us draw the necessary balance. Growing up, we used to hear of pastors' children being wayward and all that. And it took us, Vivian and myself, some other counselors, to be discussing with some pastors to realize that we, who are the lay people in churches, We often make so many demands on them. By the time they get home, there's nothing left for their wives and children. Pastor's affection, everything is given to everybody in church. When he gets home, there's nothing left for his wife. Same for his children. He's got time for even to talk to other people's children to set them straight. By the time he gets home, he's worn out. He can't even look over his own child's homework. We need to make time for all these important people in our lives. Without the church, we have family. But we lose our families, our ministry will have a question mark on it. And that's something we need to think about. And so, especially when you are young, begin to draw the line. Make time for yourself. You do not have to be in every church program. Yes, I had to learn that. You don't have to do 4, 5 things in the church. There are other people. Train other people. Encourage other people to take up other things. And so those of us who are leaders and pastors on the program, get other people involved. Don't overburden your trusted people so much that they become ineffective in their families. It's not helpful. And their testimony will suffer. I have been there. And so I speak from my heart, not just from my mind. And it is scripturally based. We need to take care of the flock God has given to us. Our primary flock is in the home. That's where the early church started. So let's do it right. And yes, we will have great churches as a result. Thank you all. And just before we hand over to John, the recap for today is we're restarting the year. Let us put new, fresh love, care, concern into our relationships, our marriages. We can do better. Even if things are good, let's move it to better. If they're better, let's move it to best. And let's work together. The more we do so, the better things will be for us. So God bless you. I'm looking forward to a great 2018 with you every month as God gives us the grace on the third Sunday. Thank you. And thank you again to Sammy, hooking me up all the way from Ivory Coast.
Hello, my name is Quan Green, and I would love to share some products that I found that are very beneficial to not only my body, but I'm sure that they would really help your body. I found out that a lot of us are impacted and we need to be detoxed, and I found some wonderful products that will safely detox you and help you to eliminate the waste and feel good about yourself. We also have products that will help grow your hair and give your skin more vibrant radiance and suppleness and help with wrinkles. I also have products that will help with joint pain as well as help you to lose weight. These products are all natural, therefore you don't have to worry about putting something in your body that's going to add problems to the problems that you may already be facing. So if you're interested, please give me a call at 706-426-1471, or you can email me at preciousjewel492@gmail.com. Thank you and have a blessed day.
To Weekend Night Live, hosted by Samuel Jacobs Abbey, where we play music, talk shows, and interviews on Be Inspired Podcast Network. Stay tuned and keep your dial on www.beinspiredpodcast.com. Don't forget to stay connected, be inspired, be unique, and be different.